Hey there guys, I'm SonicGhost and today we're going to be doing a Xbox One unboxing / review. So, right now this holiday season there are plenty of Xbox One bundles out there. This is the one I chose to get because it is a 1TB Xbox One and it comes with 3 games. And these 3 games are all things I was actually very interested in, especially Rare Replay. So I found that this is probably the best value for me. So I decided to pick up this Xbox One here. And as you can see, we got these 3 games here. If I go ahead and flip around the side of the box, you can see the list of things like it talks about. You get the console, you get a 1TB drive, controller, all that stuff. You flip it over to the back, and you can see the Gears of War, Rare Replay, and Ori and the Blind Forest in a bigger picture. Gears of War and Rare Replay are physical copies, while Ori and the Blind Forest, being an indie title, is digital only, which is perfectly fine by me. I was actually thinking about picking up that game for the PC at some point, but getting it now for the Xbox One is very convenient for me. So you see the console here on the side, and that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and open up this bad boy. I do like the handle on here because it actually has the Xbox One title on it. You can feel it. You can actually feel the words on there. It's kind of almost like Braille, but not actually Braille. So let's go ahead and start with this right here. If I get the box down, we have this white box right here. So a box inside of a box. That's always a good start. So let's just go ahead and take a look what's in here first before we get to the meat and potatoes of the box itself. Okay, so first off, we have the Xbox One controller. So let's go ahead and open this up and see how well this controller now looks in comparison to the Xbox 360 controller, which I actually have right next to me for comparison purposes. There we go. So, first thing, if you heard that fall out of the box, we have AA batteries. So, that's my one complaint about the 360 controller compared to the PlayStation 3 controller back in the last generation, and now this generation as well. The Xbox One still uses AA batteries, although you can go ahead and get the recharge kit, which is pretty much a rechargeable battery. This could be a plus and a minus to some people. To me, it'll be a little bit more of a minus because you gotta keep on buying batteries for it, but you can also hook this thing up wireless. Not wireless, you can hook it up wired to your Xbox One and still play it that way, which is convenient. But the controller itself feels very solid. And my favorite thing so far has gotta be the D-pad. As you can hear, it's very clicky and responsive. And if I compare it here to an Xbox 360 controller, you can see they're very, very similar. If I get them a little bit closer to the camera, you can see they're very similar in shape and design. So, as you can tell, the D-pads are completely different. This is the 360 controller's D-pad, which was squishy, to say the least. It wasn't really that responsive. But with the Xbox One, you have a more clicky surface that's a more traditional D-pad, and I like that. You got the Xbox button right here on the top, and then we got these 2 buttons here, which I'm not exactly sure what they're called, but they're pretty much your start and select buttons now, so that's a nice little change. And this is an updated controller, which means now over here, it's going to be hard to see in the camera, and I can't really get any good light on it, but there's a headphone jack, a standard headphone jack, and then their proprietary one for headsets. They updated their Xbox One controller recently, which fixed the proprietary headset problem, which is great that they did that. Here we got the HDMI cable. Since all new consoles nowadays are HDMI, always get a nice free cable. And here we have the power brick itself. The Xbox One has a power brick because the PlayStation 4 will have an internal power supply, while this is the power supply for the Xbox One. I prefer these for my consoles because if it's built into the console, I find they get really hot. That was my major complaint with the PlayStation 3. It's just it got so hot because the power supply was built in, and that thing always got super hot in my cabinet. Then we also have the other part for the power cord here. Then we got the quick setup guide. Little piece of paper here just pretty much tells you how to plug in your console, and here's how to turn it on. I'm pretty sure I can figure that one out on my own, so I don't really need that. Here we have the Ori and the Blind Forest code, So I enter this into my Xbox Live account and I'll redeem Ori and Blind Forest. And here is one of the interesting parts to me. This is Rare Replay and Gears of War in one box. They combine both discs into one. So that's pretty convenient for shelf storage. I do like that. I would wish that they separated them, but I can understand why they did it this way. And I'm glad they gave you physical copies instead of just going the digital only route. Now I'll also point out Ori, this fell out as well, which is yet again another little manual for the Xbox One. Pretty much the health and safety stuff, what you should and shouldn't do if you're playing your Xbox. So that's all that stuff. So let's go ahead, put this all aside. And let's go back into the box for the big thing itself, the console. So, got some styrofoam here to protect it. Let's get that out of the way. Let's push that box aside because we do not need it any longer and get this styrofoam off. There we go. So, the Xbox One, when it first was announced, people compared this to an old style VCR. It's because of its shape and its size. This thing is a pretty big console, so let me go ahead and take a look. This is the first time I've ever seen an Xbox One in person. So this is going to be my first reaction to the console, seeing it in person. Pretty nicely packed into the package here. There we go. Got another little layer of paper to protect it. There we go, now I got that out of the way so you can hear me again. This is the Xbox One. Seems like they updated this a little bit because I remember seeing that this surface right here was a glossy finish, but now it's a matte finish. That's a welcome change to me because that's a big deal. We got vents here on the top and on the side, so great ventilation right there on the top. So I do like that. This, I imagine, is the power button, one of those touch power buttons, which it's a love-hate relationship. People like them, people don't. I can understand why. Got an eject button right here, which is the same deal. We got a USB port over here, which is a USB 3.0 from what I've been hearing. And a sync button over here from the looks of things. That's probably to sync up new controllers to the console. Then we got more vents, and now we have the meat and potatoes here in the back. So if I can get this closer to the camera, you can see we got the power, we got the TV out, DAF for audio, HDMI in, which when the Xbox One was first announced, people were talking about this thing as more of a media service instead of a console. So you can use your TV and plug it right into here and watch your television off your Xbox One while playing a game, which is a cool feature. I've heard other things you can do with this as well, which I'm going to be trying out. Then you got two more USBs back here, making a total of 3, and once again, USB 3.0. You got the Connect slot, which is going to be gathering dust because now Xbox Ones don't require Connect, which is a big difference to me. I'm glad they don't do that anymore. $100 for that thing was a little too much in my opinion. Then you got IR out for a TV remote and Ethernet. So that's a console itself. It's a nice, solid looking console. I do like this quite a lot. So now that is all unboxed, let's go ahead and set it up and see what the console allows us to do. It's now time for us to take a look at what the Xbox One can do. The Xbox One is Microsoft's third home console, so at this point, Microsoft has been learning more about what they want to do with their console. So starting off, the Xbox One can do a variety of different things. You can play Xbox One games. Recently, the Xbox One got an update, so now you can play certain Xbox 360 games on backwards compatibility. You can go ahead and use streaming services like Twitch, YouTube, Hulu, such like that, and stream video to your console. You can actually live stream your gameplay out to sites like Twitch on your Xbox One, and so on and so forth. The Xbox One is advertised basically as an all-in-one system for your house. There are a bunch of different things they can go ahead and do on the Xbox One. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Xbox One titles that you can go ahead and play on the system. Now, I do have a handful of titles here for the Xbox One. I'm going to go ahead and just name them all off now, so you'll probably be seeing these games throughout this video. I have Assassin's Creed Unity, Batman Arkham Knight, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Far Cry 4, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Rare Replay, Ori and the Blind Forest, Halo the Master Chief Collection, and Sunset Overdrive. Now the games on the Xbox One for the most part play very nice and smooth. A lot of the games can play at 1080p on the Xbox One, being either at 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. It will vary on the game, and they do play very nice and smooth. Some games will not run at 1080p, some games can only do 720p, or a number a lot of people haven't heard of until this point, 900p. But even if these games don't run at a full 1080p, the Xbox One will upscale them to whatever resolution it's sending out. So if a game doesn't play at 1080p but the console is set to that, it will upscale the games to that resolution. With that said, I haven't really noticed any muddy textures or anything like that when upscaling games that are not 1080p on the Xbox One. But if you do play these games on the PlayStation 4, for example, or the PC, you might notice a graphical difference in between the Xbox One. The Xbox One, unfortunately, isn't the most powerful system when you compare it to the PlayStation 4. While the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 have very similar builds, the PlayStation 4 slightly pulls ahead in the graphical department, so the Xbox One unfortunately kind of takes a hit when it comes to certain games and the resolution. But when you look at the exclusives on the system, like Gears of War or Halo, these games look great. They play at 1080p, they run very smooth, and they look very, very nice. But right now, you can buy certain Xbox One games, and once you play them, you'll actually get free copies of certain Xbox 360 games with them. The first game I want to go ahead and talk about is Gears of War Ultimate Edition, which that's really a funny title to call your game, Ultimate Edition. I don't know what's so ultimate about this version of Gears of War outside of it looking better. I mean, what else would they have called this version of the game? Fun Times with the Lancer? I'm on a new console edition. By the way, if you get that reference, good for you. But with Gears of War Ultimate Edition, if you played the game before December 31st of 2015, you are eligible to get free copies of all 4 Gears of War games on the Xbox 360. Once you play Gears of War Ultimate Edition, you are sent voucher codes to redeem the Gears of War games on Xbox 360, which will play on the Xbox One. So I was able to get all the Gears of War games just because I own the Gears of War Ultimate Edition on Xbox One. Other games are doing this kind of promotion right now as well. Fallout 4 right now is offering a free copy of Fallout 3 when you buy the game before February of 2016. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege also comes with some Tom Clancy games, and there's other games that are doing this right now as well. This is a way for Microsoft to be pushing their backwards compatibility, as this is a great way to get people into this new feature of the Xbox One by giving away free 360 titles. So with that said, let's go ahead and look at the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility. And for the most part, the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility is pretty good. A lot of the 360 games you can play on the Xbox One right now run pretty smooth, and for the most part run just as well, if not better, on the Xbox One when you compare them to the Xbox 360. Unfortunately, not all titles run at a smooth frame rate on the Xbox One. For some reason, certain 360 games on the Xbox One right now do not run nearly as well as they used to on the Xbox 360. I do believe this is because of an emulation issue on the Xbox One, as you're not just playing with direct hardware of an Xbox 360. The Xbox One actually emulates an Xbox 360 into its own operating system, so this isn't the most smooth experience. It does allow you to use all the extra features that the Xbox One does have, but unfortunately this will take a pretty big hit in performance in certain games. Take for example Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. On the Xbox 360 this game runs at a nice smooth 30 frames per second, but on the Xbox One it chugs along at around 20 frames. So when you compare the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One playing this game alone, you can see a pretty big difference in performance, and a lot of games right now are unfortunately suffering from this performance hit. There are some games that Microsoft had promised that we're trying to fix this problem right now, like for example Halo Reach, as Halo Reach was running at 25 frames or lower when it's supposed to be at 30, so they are trying to fix this issue, but it's sad to see that this is an issue to begin with. This is the problem when you emulate past hardware, as it's not always going to be one-to-one. The Xbox 360 compatibility though on the Xbox One does work, and they are trying to add new titles on the Xbox One every month now, so there are going to be more backwards compatibility titles being announced for the Xbox One, and you can just easily pop in your Xbox 360 disc and you can play it right on your Xbox One it'll download the game, but you do need to keep the disc in the system in order for the game to play. And as for any digital title, you just simply download it, play it, and it'll work perfectly fine. So for the most part, the Xbox 360 compatibility does work on the Xbox One, but there are some performance issues with certain games right now. So if you want to know how a certain game runs on the Xbox One, or even if it's compatible, I recommend looking it up online before you buy your 360 titles for the Xbox One. Now with the games out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the different features that are on the Xbox One. Let's go ahead and start, for example, with game recording. Right now, both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One allow you to record a couple minutes of your gameplay and upload it to sites like YouTube, for example. How this works on the Xbox One is if you have a Kinect, you can easily say, Xbox, record that, and record the last 30 seconds of gameplay. If you don't have a Kinect like most people at this point, you can easily just double tap on the Xbox button and hit the X button on your controller, and it'll record the game clip in the same way. You do have to enable the game DVR in your Xbox One settings in order to get this feature to work. And if you want to go ahead and save clips for longer than 30 seconds, you do need to use the Xbox One Capture app, which is basically their way of editing up the captures that you have in your Xbox One, and it will allow you to record for longer than 30 seconds. When you record game clips off your Xbox One, the games will be recorded in 720p at 30 frames per second, so they don't look as clean as if you direct capture your Xbox One footage with a capture card, for example, but it gets the job done. This is a very nice and easy way to share your game clips to people online if you don't have a capture device like I do for capturing games. So this is a very easy way to share your game clips with people without having to spend a lot of money on a capture device for the system. Now the next thing I want to go ahead and look at is something that is exclusive to Windows 10 right now. On Windows 10, you can use the Xbox app to stream your Xbox One onto your PC. How this works is if your Xbox One is hooked up to the same network as your Windows 10 computer, you can actually control your Xbox One with your PC. You can just go ahead and hook up your Xbox One or Xbox 360 controller, as both of these will work with the Xbox streaming app. You can hook up those controllers into your computer and you can stream your Xbox One directly onto your PC. This will allow you to stream your gameplay from your Xbox One wherever in the house, as long as you have your computer with you. So you can have your Xbox One set up in the living room, and you can have your computer set up in your bedroom, and you can play your Xbox One games on your computer in your bedroom, no problem. There is some latency to this though, because it is network streaming, so it's not going to be one-to-one, and the quality isn't going to be as good as if you were playing the games on your Xbox One to the television. But it gets the job done, and also allows you to use Xbox 360 controllers on your Xbox One, as when you plug in a 360 controller to the Xbox One, it won't recognize the controller at all. But with the Xbox streaming program, you can easily use an Xbox 360 controller on your Xbox One from your PC, and this has no latency when you're playing the Xbox One on your television. Meaning if you have one Xbox One controller and you want to do some multiplayer gameplay with your friends, but you have only one controller to use for the system and an Xbox 360 controller laying around, you can stream your Xbox to the Xbox program on your computer and use your Xbox 360 controller on there as your second controller. I've actually done this on multiple occasions, since right now I want to play some multiplayer games with some of my friends, but I only have one Xbox One controller to use. I booted up my Xbox streaming program, and I've just plugged in the controller right into my computer and just played the games on my television, having no latency, and it works. So if you want to find a good workaround to using a 360 controller on the Xbox One, then the Xbox streaming service on Windows 10 is the way to go. And it's very easy to do, very easy to set up. So it works out. I recommend giving it a shot if you have Windows 10 installed and you have an Xbox One hooked up to your same network. It is very useful. Now all the other applications that you can go ahead and use on the Xbox One are very nice and easy to use. You have programs on here like YouTube and Twitch, for example. I've used these from time to time just to play some videos or streams on my television, and they do work. With the Twitch app, you can actually stream your games live, and you don't have to worry about having any extra setup for it. You can easily just use your Xbox headset, or you can use the Kinect if you have one as your microphone, and the Xbox One will just handle all the streaming setup for you. So it'll just stream your gameplay directly to Twitch, and if you have a microphone all hooked up, it'll do the balancing for you. And it does work pretty well. It is kind of a limited stream setup, so you can't really choose your quality. It's pretty much set to 720p 30 frames per second, but it does the job. And if you don't have any equipment to properly stream with a computer, or if your computer isn't powerful enough to stream, and you have your Xbox One all set up to stream, you can easily use the Twitch app to live stream your games easily. It's a very easy and pain-free process, so I recommend giving that a shot if you don't have a computer that is ready for streaming at the point, but you do want to stream your Xbox One games. But the biggest media service I want to go ahead and talk about on the Xbox One is its TV feature. As on the back of the Xbox One, you have a HDMI input, which this is the only console right now that is doing this. You can easily plug in an HDMI source into this HDMI input, and you can go ahead and watch that on the Xbox One using the TV app. So what this is designed for is you would take your television service like Comcast or DirecTV, for example, and you would take the HDMI output of those cable boxes and hook it up into your Xbox One. Using the TV program on the Xbox One, you can play your games and watch your television shows at the same time. Or you can just watch your television right on the Xbox One, as it also has a guide of its own, so you can easily just find all the shows you're looking for on the Xbox One. This is a very nice and easy setup, but I haven't really used it that much for TV. I've used it to watch some stuff on television, but what I've mainly been using the HDMI input on the Xbox One for now is basically a separate HDMI input for my television, so you can easily hook up any HDMI source to the HDMI in port on your Xbox One. So for example, I just plug in my Wii U to the Xbox One, and now I can play my Wii U games via my Xbox One. There is a little bit of latency to this though, so you're probably not wanting to do this. I pretty much just did just to test this out and see how this would work in general. And you can play any kind of games from other consoles on the Xbox One this way. I wouldn't recommend doing it though because of that latency. There's enough of a delay when you're playing games via the TV input on the Xbox One that you're not going to be able to play a lot of fast-paced games like this. So it's more or less of a novelty's sake, because it's not something that you're going to want to use because of that delay. And whenever you plug in something to the HDMI input, it does read HDCP signals, meaning that this will not strip HDCP. So if your source is copyright protected, say any Sony system right now, like the PlayStation 3 or PlayStation TV and such, if you plug those into the HDMI input, it will recognize that it's a copyright protection signal, and it will block any kind of capture devices or any other source that can't recognize HDCP properly. It'll block it and saying that this is not a valid source. So do keep that in mind. This will not strip HDCP if you're looking for a way to strip that signal. This won't work. But with that said, this does do the job. It does what it's supposed to. It lets you watch your TV on your Xbox One while playing games, and you can go ahead and snap the TV app to your games or any other program you're using at the time. So this is a nice way to watch television while playing a game of Halo, for example. Which, speaking of which, that's a good segue into what the Xbox One was known for when it first came out, is the snapping feature of its apps. You can easily snap an app to a game, say for example the TV one for example. You can snap that to the side while playing a game. It'll be in a smaller picture, and same for your gameplay, but you can easily see both at the same time, and you can interact with one or the other. You can easily swap in between your game or your snapped application. So for the case of TV, you'll see your television show in the corner of the screen, and you can play your game while watching that at the same time. You'll have to do some volume mixing in the settings of the Xbox. You can't do that on the fly, unfortunately, but this does do the job. So the Xbox One is very good for multitasking. I've actually used this feature for Twitch streams, as whenever I play a game, sometimes I just want to listen to a stream in the background. So I'll just snap Twitch to the side and load up a stream, and I'll just have that going in the background, and it works perfectly fine. I've also done this for YouTube videos and even the media player to play music while I'm playing games, and it does work. It's a very nice feature, and it's something I do use from time to time, as it's a nice multitasking feature on the console itself. In order to play your games online, you need an Xbox Live Gold account. Now this is something Microsoft has been doing for quite some time now. They did this with the Xbox 360, and they're doing with the Xbox One as well. but in order to play your games online, you need to have an Xbox Live subscription. Gold subscription not only lets you play games online, but it also gives you access to Xbox Live Gold games that they give out every month. Every month, Microsoft gives out 2 free games on the Xbox One and the Xbox 360. So with Xbox Live Gold, you're also getting free games. Sony does this as well with PlayStation Plus, and people can argue that PlayStation Plus is better than Xbox Live Gold, as there's a better game selection and there's more games that they offer over on PlayStation Plus in certain months. But the games that they have offered on Xbox Live Gold have been pretty good so far. I picked up a good amount of Xbox Live Gold games right now for both the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. I have played a couple of them and I am enjoying them. I'm glad I'm able to get free games like this, but you do have to keep in mind when your Xbox Live Gold subscription does run out, you'll lose any of the games that you got from Xbox Live for the Xbox One. If you got games for Gold on Xbox 360, you luckily get to keep those games once your Xbox Live Gold does run out. But for the Xbox One games, you do need to renew your subscription in order to play those again. This is actually a step ahead of what Sony's been doing, as with the PlayStation Plus games, you need to renew your subscription to play the games on any other consoles, PlayStation 3, Vita, and PlayStation 4. At least with the Xbox Live Gold account, you can keep the 360 games and play those if you no longer have your Gold. So that is very nice. I'm glad to let you do that. And Xbox Live Gold does a job for me. So I'm happy with what I got with Xbox Live Gold. Now the last thing I want to go ahead and look at is the Xbox One controller, as the Xbox One controller is actually one of my favorite controllers to use now. When I first took it out of the box, I immediately noticed a big difference on it, which was its D-pad. The D-pad is vastly different than what the Xbox 360 D-pad is, as the Xbox One D-pad is your more traditional style D-pad, while the 360 was a more rounded surface. So the 360 D-pad was known for not really feeling that comfortable in a lot of games, being very squishy and unresponsive, while the Xbox One's D-pad is nice, clicky, and responsive. It feels good in your fingers and it does the job, which is good because that was the major problem that the 360 controller had. Outside of that, the layout was comfortable, the buttons all worked, and it fit nice in your hands. The Xbox One continues this tradition as it feels very nice in your hands, the button layout is really nice, and all the buttons feel very smooth. Outside the D-pad, another major change that the Xbox One controller has is its triggers, as these triggers feel very much the same as the Xbox 360 controller's triggers, but they added one new feature to them, and that was a rumble feature. Now, the Xbox One controller does have rumble just like the 360 controller or any other controller you can think of at this point, but it's not just the controller itself that has a rumble pack, it's now also the triggers. The triggers on the controller will vibrate whenever the controller itself will, so now you have force feedback on the triggers themselves. I've noticed this force feedback in games like Halo, for example, when I'm shooting a gun. I can feel the triggers just shaking my hand, and also I've heard this is really useful for racing games. I haven't really tested it with a racing game at this point, but I can see how that would be really beneficial there, as this force feedback on the triggers themselves feels very comfortable actually, and it does give you a good force feedback on your games so you know that things are working. The controller itself feels very solid, and with the addition of the force vibration in the triggers themselves, the Xbox One controller just feels to be the most solid controller I've ever used. It feels very comfortable in your hands, the button layout's very nice, the D-pad's very comfy, and everything about the controller is really good to me. The one negative that most people can find with this controller is that at this point it still takes AA batteries. You can fix this by buying a rechargeable pack that Microsoft does sell for the controller, but then you're spending an extra $20 to $25 on it. So if you want to get rechargeable batteries, you can buy that pack or just buy rechargeable batteries on your own. But I found that the battery life on the controller is pretty good. I've been playing a lot of the Xbox One and I haven't needed to change the batteries at all. So that right there is a testament of how long the battery life of the controller is. It's actually pretty long. So I have no complaints about the controller using AA batteries. Overall, I'm really enjoying my Xbox One so far. There are a lot of good exclusive titles that you can pick up on the Xbox One right now, like Sunset Overdrive, Rare Replay, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Halo 5, and the list can go on from there. The extra applications that you can go ahead and run on the Xbox One do work very nice. The TV service on the Xbox One is a very useful feature, as it does allow you to watch your television shows and play your games at the same time with the multitasking that the Xbox One allows you to do. The Xbox 360 backwards compatibility does its job, and it's a step ahead of what Sony is doing right now, as the PlayStation 4 has no backwards compatibility whatsoever. The closest the PlayStation 4 has to backwards compatibility is the PlayStation Now rental service, which really isn't the same thing. You're renting games, so you can't play games you already own. With the Xbox One, you can pop in your 360 game, and as long as it's backwards compatible with the Xbox One, you can play the game on your Xbox One. Right now, they are tweaking the backwards compatibility up so certain games won't run at the full frame rate on the Xbox One compared to the 360, but they do work on the system, and like I said earlier, it gets the job done. So overall, I can highly recommend an Xbox One if you're in the market for a Microsoft console right now. If you're thinking about picking up an Xbox One for the backwards compatibility alone right now, I would say hold off on that because the backwards compatibility list isn't that big yet, and if you're just buying your Xbox One to play 360 titles, you're probably better off buying an Xbox 360. But if you're in the market to play those Microsoft exclusives right now on the Xbox One, I would highly recommend that you pick up the system, as it's a lot of fun, the controller feels very nice in your hands, and the system does have a lot of unique features that make it very useful. With that all said, hope you all enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.